In this video, we'll be making the drone from the last video, this time hopefully without a crash, so that way we can get all the way to the end and make an awesome drone. So let's go ahead and do this. So first thing I'll do is press Control 3 to put a subdivision of 3 on here. And we're just going to put a cast on it, set the cast to 1. And from here, we're just going to convert to a mesh. Maybe put another level of subdivision on it. Also convert that to mesh. From here, we're just going to C-sharp it. All that does is just put a bevel on it. Since there's no edges that meet the edge threshold, there's not going to be any sharpening done, and thus no beveling. However, if we just come to the front here, and of course this one's going to have to be a little different than the last video because I'm a superstitious guy. I'm going to assume that the last one was cursed. So let's try this again. Mesh tool, symmetry, auto mirror. I don't know why I deleted it there. Always a strange glitch, never predictable. More predictable than Maya though, I'll tell you that. Can't even bevel a damn edge in Maya consistently without gosh darn crashes. So right here, I'm going to assume that the last video that I made that I consider a failure was still left up, even though there were some issues with the recording at the end. I'll still assume that that information is still part of the HOPS canon. We'll just start talking in comic book terms. So with that in mind, I'll try to not be too redundant in the stuff that I'm talking about here. Of course, every time you see me pressing G, I'm not pressing G, pressing double G. Double G for a double dose of edge sliding. Really show those edges who's boss. And then of course just merge some off points. I could be using clean mesh here, but clean mesh is too automated a solution at this time for it to be used practically and predictably. I'll show you more of that later. It's just when it comes to curvature, sometimes you'll lose edges that really you probably wouldn't have lost otherwise through sane dissolving. A sane person wouldn't have dissolved certain edges, but clean mesh will. So that's why you always see me kind of getting a little manual with the cleanup, because I like to, like I always say, I like to understand what is being created by the choices that I make here. So getting in there and troubleshooting the geometry is just it's part of being a geometric forensic investigator. So this time I'll try to stay on topic of hard ops and not drift into other problems, like for example, I just laid out a rat trap for this rat, so hopefully throughout the video I can hear the sounds of a rat getting justice. But let's not think about that. But I swear you guys, Dark Souls sized rat, it was crazy. Not only did it stare at me, it stared at my girlfriend. Just stared her down. We just haven't even been going in the kitchen. But today's its last day. So right here, I just put a cylinder on here. Of course, Control minus Boolean because I'm classic. I love that hotkey. When Victor Bobbio made Bool Tool and added it to Blender, that was the main thing I took away from it, was that mapping complex operations to hotkeys could have powerful results. So kind of in a way, he definitely played a large role in the creation of hard ops and inspiration, because if he never would have just made Booleans a one-step procedure, I may not have even been as serious about hard surface as I am now. Right now it's my primary study, with organic being my hobby. So we'll just take these points, just merge them, maybe not merge them. We could probably do better doing it like that, so we can keep this, and we will lightning bolt between them, which is what I call pressing J. Lightning bolt, like the lightning bolts of Zeus. Just bam, hit the geo, put a line straight through it. It's another one of those tools that if Blender did not have it, it might have changed the outcome of how I would have approached hard surface and its ease of use. But the combination of this and auto smooth and its placement just kind of made it apparent that a lot of these things were maybe not placed in the best locations for users to use them in their workflows. So for this example, instead of doing the outward extrusions and all that business, we're going to try something different. Of course, can't have an absolute remake of a model that failed. You know, just playing with the Blender gods there. So right here, the normal shading is a little imperfect, as in it could be a little better. So before we start mirroring this below itself, let's just fix that. This one will need to be lit there. These two need to go here, which means that this one will need a line in between. We can turn this into a quad to simplify this. This one's a near miss. There's too many near misses here to let this go. In fact, I actually just now turned on that texture space. Sometimes I accidentally press T because I'm never looking at my keyboard. And even though I have a macro mouse, I never am using macros as much as you would think. Like, you know, the way I hit these hotkeys, you would think I have like buttons all over my mouse, and I do, but I always forget. And also, I have to take a split second to think for a moment about what these buttons do on the mouse. So in the end, I'm just like, you know, too many seconds lost. You know, timer runs out. You know, like an old PS2 game, and it's on to the next idea. So we'll raise the segments to 6. That way we can defeat the curve, and mesh tools, Z symmetry. Excellent. So from here we're gonna go a little hard, and by hard I mean we're gonna cut a shape that I haven't cut out of a sphere in a while, because it normally gives me traumatic memories like Bruce Wayne seeing his parents die. But let's go ahead and Joe chill this real quick. So, you know, this is my favorite shape right here. Old classic right here is what we call it on the streets. And then we're just going to press Q, C/, pray to the Blender gods. Because every time there's a little hang like that, there's a chance that Blender could just throw up its hands and just be like, F it, to the desktop. You know, I don't have to put up with this. But where Blender has it wrong is it does, because I'll open it back up. You know, back in the day, if I was working on a file and it was late at night and it would just crash, I would just stay up all night. Like, it was a rule. I would just stay up and get the model back. Like, you know, gradually the beast became better, you know, because, I mean, during the 2.6 days, Blender was a lot more unstable. The reason I'm bringing this up is, you know, if you're new to Blender and you haven't been using it since like 2.5, you know, Blender can be a little variable in between builds. And whenever they're saying that they're doing big things under the hood and they're prepping the main branch for stuff, you know, just know that there's going to be a little bit of breakage, a little bit of strangeness, weird glitches. You know, so half the time I don't know if I'm like crazy or if there's a glitch. It's like American Gods. You know, I'm like Shadow Moon, and Blender's like trying to show me a world beneath the surface. And by beneath the surface, I mean my desktop. It's always my desktop. So, I mean, right here, it's like, why am I even making this stuff into quads? It's habit. I just zoom out because I'm a camera. I zone out, and my brain will just automatically fall back to it. When really, what I'm thinking in my head is, you know, I need good enough geo, not perfect geo, because I'm going to come back and cut it. So if I perfect it, I'm just going to mess that up later as well. So, I mean, there comes a time when it's optimal to begin cleaning it up. That part is called the finale. So right here, we have it mirrored, looking good-ish, looking good enough, which is what I'm hoping to show in these particular videos where I'm doing all this troubleshooting, because, you know, I'd love to, you know, just make videos that's full of easy stuff to show where where it excels at, because we can dice cubes, and because the rolls of angles is so relaxed, it's like Tetris. In Tetris terms, it's like playing at the beginning, cutting on a cube. But at the end, when the blocks are like 100 miles an hour, that's when you're cutting on spheres and really organic shapes. So hopefully we can go through the paces and work our way up to some like cool stuff, and it doesn't end too short. So this would probably be a good time in the video to, of course, say thank you to everyone who picked up this product. It, of course, means the world to me. I hope that you continue to support me on any products in the future, as well as the people that have partnered up with us to offer their products at a discount for people using HOPS in order to get it out there. Just got to throw that out there. Like, it definitely means a lot. I'm always scouring the net looking for artworks made with HOPS to brag about or look at or add to the gallery. So if you're putting out awesome stuff, drop me an email, of course, masterzam1001@gmail.com, or post it on the thread on Blender Artists, or and on the group on Facebook preferably, and not on the group on Blender Artists, where people more likely are going to express technical issues than talk about art. So definitely let me know, because I'm always on the lookout. I think it's the part of the gallery that makes this such an interesting product, because on my side, I'm less coding because I introduce glitches. I'm less coding and more handling it on managing it and support issues nowadays. But every now and then I'll go in and create kind of what I call the framework of an idea. Like Clean Mesh is the framework of an idea. At some point we'll have someone smarter come back and take a look at it and actually break it open into being something more interesting. But the original idea was, hey, I need a way to quickly dissolve garbage edges on the mesh, because pressing buttons is crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, it's life, really. So right here, we will dissolve this little garbage and pull the bevel in a little bit, mirror it across. And we can even take this mesh, sim it below itself. In fact, really, to make it a lot easier, we can auto mirror, and then we can cut this part off and just go into mirror helper and in the modifier helper and set that correct. So we'll do some some cool things with this inner ring, but I had a little bit of time in retrospect to think about my mistakes inside the God, I'm trying to throw some comic terms in here, but I keep forgetting the names of things in the DC universe. Like before, at the beginning of HOPS, I was pretty into comics. As they progressed, I've become a little less interested unless there's like a large situation. And Marvel, never been into their comics. Right here, this is why you can't use mirrors and Booleans. So we'll select this, C/, remove doubles, and we'll cut in again, and it'll probably work for some reason. Why? Who knows? And the reason this is Rebull still exists is for situations like this where C/ is just too dang fast. Rebull now is part of C/. So I wish it would have worked when I was about to start giving it some complimenting words, but instead it made a fool out of me. So we will cut all the way across here, and then XM with Alt X to mirror it across. So this probably is not going to work because I just redefined insanity. But what could work is if we turn off bevel, and then try it. Okay, make a fool out of me. Shame on me. And this is really why you can't make a tide turn, you guys. Alright, we'll just shrink it. Alright, so in this part, we definitely want to know why this is failing. So let's duplicate it, and we're just going to change it to intersect. And turn the bevel back on, and we're going to C# and turn the bevel back on. Quite strange. You know, I'm pretty sure the areas that, you know, I was using bad pronunciation there. The areas that have the most little spiny edges. Like, here we go. Oh, dang. Alright. Let's unhide this. We'll scale it up slightly. And so for this, what we'll do is go into B-Width and press Z to show the wire. And for now, we'll just look at it with the wire. We'll select this. That's not going to work. So we'll just duplicate it, change it to intersect, C sharpen, press C to turn that off. You know, we need our bevel back on. Alright. So quite strange, you know, that's what happens whenever I don't do things that are predictable or rehearse, you know. Like I say, I always rehearse tutorials now because struggling on camera is like you be struggling on TV, like the Paul Randy, the Amazing Randy challenge. You know, he's like the guy who you know, tests psychics. iTunes, do not talk to me. All right, there's always something happening in a video, no matter what. Every time I hear a rattle, I think there's rats attacking me. Like, I put some peanut butter in it, and it smelled so good. I literally was like thinking of getting some off the trap to taste it, and that just goes to show, you know, how hard it is. You know, not only being a rat, but being a human. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a rat. I'm just saying, you know, it's real tempting to eat the peanut butter, but the peanut butter is for the rats. But back to work here. We'll just continue slicing and dicing. So I'm looking at this edge right here where my cursor's at, because if I cut it in the wrong area, it's just going to hotline. It's going to be a disaster. So I want to cut it in that area, but I want to avoid the least amount of hotlines. Call me old-fashioned, but these hotlines drive me crazy. Let's try a revolutionary new tool called Clean Mesh. Did not work. We're going to send that back to the labs. But the cleanup work here is actually minimal. Really, it's done, except for areas where it's truly affecting the bevel. I mean, if we really want to just do the most minimal amount of cleanup, that's it. But if we wanted to, you know, try to make the world a better place, we would select these two, lightning bolt, slide them around, maybe lightning bolt here, you know, in the name of Zeus. I think he's the one. No, Odin. Alright, so, you know, this one we will not go. You know, in fact, here we go. Let's show an example of what Clean Mesh would do on this. It cleaned it up pretty good, but these edges that are hanging out over here, just up to no good. You know, started making trouble in neighborhood type of edges. These edges we have to dissolve. Like, these edges that have gone wayward that you just can't rehabilitate into being good people. You just got to take those edges and dissolve them. So, the rest of these edges, they actually show signs of social progression. Like we could probably, rehabilitate them and, put a lightning bolt through it to give it a stronger connection with the rest of the geometric community. I mean, this area will stand out and will never quite match the rest of the community, but it's a part of it, So we're going to go back out and do more cuts. First we got to cut off the side here. The side was looking at me funny, and that was even in the last video. Just had to cut that off. But let's look at the magic of what clean mesh is again, because the edges that are non-important to the form itself will get removed. Let's see what edges those are. Whoa. So, really that did most of the cleanup work for me. I could clean up some of these triangular convergences, but in this case, let's leave it. Let's leave it, see how they do. We shouldn't judge a bevel by the shading of its neighbor, but it's real easy to come to these assumptions. In fact, we could probably do a little better on our circle business, to be honest. So W, loop tools, circle, undo a step, loop tools, circle, circle. Loop tools is my ish. Not going to swear in this video, but loop tools is an important part of hard ops. If you're not using loop tools, even by itself in the W menu, get on with it, because it's a great tool. Just like F2, they're functionally perfect tools for Blender. Like there's not anything about their behaviors I personally would even want to change. If anything, with F2 I would want to enhance it. But these are also tools that Blender has that I don't think anyone else has. Like I know that Maya has predictive face filling, but F2 is definitely on another level. I'm not even using F2 in this video, but while I'm thinking about it, it could just make an appearance, but then I would be having to rebuild something in the quads and then cutting it apart. So here we did a thing. We did a thing and we got results. And they're not beautiful results, right? Like this area's partied on the town. It's had a hard night. So first we'll clean the mesh. And, interestingly, I've kind of learned some new tricks for dealing with troublesome areas. So I'll show you one here. First, we got to clean it up a little bit. We got to clean up its act. And another thing, too, is we're going to have to lose a lot of weight. So first, we're going to turn off the mirror. Bam, this thing just lost like 80 pounds. Another thing is this whole area is not going to work because we want to give it a more circular shape. I mean, the level of circle that we're looking at here is just unacceptable, but we'll come back to that because it's not going to let that be an easy step. And we dissolve too many edges and we start to lose our integrity here. And we see that there's a difference in the amount of edges that's going from this interior piece to the exterior. So really, we could just be real smart. And by real smart, I mean, let's make a dumb mistake. We'll separate it, select this edge that has a nice good flow, and we'll just rebuild it like classic, like the ultimate lazy, because we could solve a lot of problems by dissolving, just putting things in the right area, but look at that rebuild compared to that. It's just better. In fact, let's go ahead and take the center here. We're going to inset it and then delete the face, select the edge ring, Control E or Q, turn off the sharpening because that's never going to give us a good result, and just grid fill. For this area, we're just going to delete that face. Also, we got to turn off sub D. That's why you never see me use sub D with these sort of models, because it just things get real bad. In fact, we're probably going to need to rebuild this real quick. Might as well all quad this sucker, and then just put a level of sub D on it to give us additional smoothing for this critical area. So if you're thinking, hey, this isn't very exciting, what about the cool Boolean stuff? You know, this is you know, us atoning for our mistakes. This is us making this area right. We did a lot of things to this area of mesh, and now we have to pay. So we'll S sharpen, lower to B width. You know, that looks okay. Looks real mediocre, really. But if we put some sub D on that, in fact, where's these n-gons coming from? Oh, hey, where's these n-gons coming from? Biggest n-gon ever in my face. You know, we want to space it, because if we just quad it all the way to the surface with grid fill, we're gonna get like some herpy dirt. So let's not go through that. And it's like we still have hidden n-gon somewhere. In fact, this whole edge, Sir n-gon, the edge ring. So one ring to rule them all, and one ring to bind them. Alright, so we'll put a level of sub D on here, delete this piece because that was just an example. Looks good. We'll apply it. Now all our sharps were demoted into just regular sharps. So to get them back, we'll actually use the S sharps manager. We'll select sharp, select all of these, and just click OK, and that will convert all the sharps back to S sharp, because whenever you're applying subdivision for smoothing, you're always going to lose that. It's just a thing. In fact, I like it. It's an interesting behavior, because we could lose everything, but for some reason we still keep that. And because we have that, we're able to do this process, which I like a lot, of just basically, you know, rebuilding an area to make it transition nicely. So for this, we probably don't have to show it as much love as we did the other thing, but if we wanted to, we could project all new geometry on here and just make it work and just give it a nice circular convergence. But why? We're just going to go back and cut it, and then of course, you know, right now we're going through it with HOPS. We're going to, of course, be using some boxcutter on it. Then we're going to finally put some Decal Machine on it to really just send this thing to another level. We'll select this. This piece is a little variable. This piece is useless. No need to make it work. We'll connect that there. Quad it, because I'm a beast of habit. I could probably actually control exit, but I don't know what's on the inside of this stuff, so I don't want to take a important wall on the inside and you know, mess it up, because it'll cause some strange n-gon shading. But as you can see, you know, pretty much done. Like all the excess stuff I'm doing here is just to make it look even better, because every time you do this small cleanup phase, it allows you more play. But if you just cut and cut and cut, you know, it's like you know, I'm sure you guys have seen Full Metal Alchemist, like the law of equivalent exchange. You know, this is the part where we sacrifice our little brother's body. That sounded horrible. Physical body, not, you know, Sandusky. So we'll remove doubles and mirror to the other side. In fact, here's what it looked like before, and when we mirror it, we'll have the update, right? So here's what it looked like before. You can see it in the shading. You know, we'll go into mat cap and really look at it in the shading, and you can see it's just little small dings, like this thing's been scraped at by squirrels, because squirrels are just big outdoor rats. We'll press Alt X, and that'll do, Jim. That'll do. So we'll go back to normal view. By the way, Alt V is your viewport menu, part of HOPS, in case you don't know where the Alt V menu is coming from. And right here, we're just going to do a cut with depth. So I'm holding Alt. I didn't tab to edit the box because I just want a linear box here. We'll symmetrize on the Z, which is unnecessary, but we're just force of habit. So right here, I'm going to cut another one. And that is our depth now. I'm the captain now. So right here, lightning bolt, push, push, and this will just be for some visual interest later. We'll also go ahead and slice off this part. Don't tell anybody. I'm just taking this piece home to eat later. We'll mirror that over and mirror the piece back over. Since this was kind of a large curve cut, on the area of the circle, it's not like in here. The spinals that were created, I'm just going to stick with that name. They're spinals to me. Are easier to deal with because the edge roundness factor is lower. So anytime you're cutting round stuff, you have to kind of keep these things in mind because they'll come back to haunt you. You'll, just like earlier when I was cutting the face and it was being all weird. Those sort of things. They're hard to explain because it could just be something as simple as a double or a hotline, but it's always difficult to say for sure. But because this plugin is Boolean based, part of our mission now is Boolean awareness. We'll put a cylinder here, put it in the center, RX. Now this looks good, but we need one additional level of smoothing, so I'll press Control 1, and we're just going to Q C/. Will it work? Yes, it will. I don't like what we have going in the center, so we're just going to clean the mesh, get that out of here. There we go. So for this piece, we can just dissolve these pieces and then remirror it X and down, and it's good. But right here, this part's not good. This mesh is kind of shook up because it's all some bad things. So we're just going to put a loop in here. One loop's all it needs to really give this mesh back its confidence, because you're cutting these meshes, you're swinging knives at them, box cutters in their face. Sometimes the meshes just get to the point where they don't want to talk to you no more. So when that happens, you got to go in like I'm doing, and just you got to give it some verts as a proof of your covenant with the mesh to say, hey, I'm cutting you real bad, but it's for the better of all of us that I do this. It's not just because I want a nice mesh. Like if I wasn't recording, I would be talking to my mesh right now, like, bevel, you son of a, or bevel, you sly guy. So with that part looks a little better. If we compare it to the other side, you can see what kind of normal shading we were looking at before, and we mirrored across. That's what it looks like now. We look at it from the bottom, it also shows how it was previously, and now this is what its life is. So you can't just cut meshes without doing counseling services as well. Like, you're going to have to treat the mesh like a lady. So right here, we'll bevel this edge and mirror it across. And the top part's working out, so we'll have it talk to its sister, the Z-, and it's fine now. So I'm gonna put another cylinder here because I'm insane in the membrane. There's like 80 cylinders hidden in this scene. Snap my cursor there, and where's that cylinder? There it is. We'll snap selection to cursor. And we're just going to push this out and bring it in. And we're going to use this to just put a little nice lip on this. So with boxcutter open, we're just going to have both selected and just control click, which will B and C is what I think I'm going to call it, just B and C behavior, because it does the Boolean, it does the C sharp, you know. Boxcutter is like an old friend, you know, even though it's not as old as hard hops. Every time the tool busts out, you know, I suddenly am like, oh wait, I do have this at my disposal. So the B and C behavior is just the ability to do a Boolean cut very quickly and also C sharp it. So I mean, if you thought C slice was some stuff to do, C and B is done. Like, we just pushed this mesh in here, we made it happen, and now we made it happen everywhere. So congratulations guys, we've done it again. So right here, I'll put my cursor there in between the wires, and we'll cut a box, hold Alt, there's not a mirror on here, so that's not what made it look weird. Oh, it's these convergencies. We'll slide this away, which will allow us to talk. It's like, who hurt you? Which edge did this to you? Oh, it's these, and they're still hiding in your house. We'll get them. These edges, they gotta go. You know, these edges over here were scaring these edges. So, you know, I'm sure I've talked about in previous videos where, you know, just in the insanity of just sitting here modeling, I try to make up little stories about the geo. You know, this little poly went to market, you know, type of thing. So we'll mirror it on the Z, and all is well on the front of our drone. So we're going to look at it from the top, and let's do something I didn't do before last time. At least in this shape. We'll separate it, press Control Z, select our new piece. So I do that a lot. I'll separate a piece and just press Control Z. Like, it's the bee's knees. All the cool kids, they're doing it. So try it out sometime. Right here, just gonna put some geo out there with F2. F2. Always gonna make an appearance after all. It is literally one of my favorite tools. Absolute genius of a tool. Beast. Like, my favorite tools are the ones that fulfill a need that I didn't know I had a problem with. It's like, maybe I am pressing F too much. Never thought of that. Now I'm self-conscious. I'm assuming every button I'm pressing too much. Like, one day I'm going to do something about all this dang left clicking I have to do in life. This stuff isn't even necessary. Why am I doing it? I don't know. To quote Grandpa Simpson, I don't know. So we'll put this piece here on the front. We're going to flatten it because we want it to represent the earth. And so right here, I'm just going to bevel this edge. The other edge isn't even going to listen to me because it's not being mirrored. And we're going to go in here, clear SCS sharps. Or, yeah, SCS sharps. You know, that's actually a good name for it. Clear SCS sharps. We'll put a T-thick on it, but I'll press 2 so that way the amount that I'm pushing out that you see is also the amount that I'm pushing in. Another fantastic change in these later versions of hard ops that I'm just completely enthusiastic over. And now we'll just C-slice it. So we have done it now, you guys. And also, not only that, our slice didn't separate the piece, which is kind of weird. These things happen. We'll just separate it and pretend like, hey, it separated it, you know? Not make a big fuss about it, but you know what is a big fuss is this cool pattern on the side that we're just going to dissolve because we didn't ask for, you know, these little checkers. You know, actually, we're going to go a step further. Clean mesh, like a superpower. So remember, anytime you use the clean mesh jitsu, there's always a chance that there could be a problem. You might end up having to deal with a Sasuke of a triangle. But in the end, you'll get your Hinata. So, right here, we're going to just slide some things along. This edge, this edge, this edge. You know what they all have in common? They're fired. To quote Donald Trump. We'll dissolve some edges. This edge, fired. This edge lost its job. This edge, no pension. This edge, thought it was retiring down there. Just thought I was just going to retire down by the edge where all the geometry converges. Nobody. Back to work. So this piece looks good. And by good, I mean it could look a little better, actually. So we will lightning bolt here, merge there. In case you can't tell, this is not a tutorial. This is more like you should watch this video, and if you're pretty competent with hard ops, meaning you've watched the previous videos, by all means give it a try. But this video is more like a demonstration, so I mean, don't look away. Just make mental notes in your head of what you're learning from this video. And then at the end, try to remember it in your work. So right here, I'm just going to X out a box cutter so I can grab the edges with D. These edges were hiding deceit and lies. They're fired. These edges, they were born out of those lies, so they also fired. And this is how we pretty much control our mesh unemployment rate. We will push this out, merge, all this stuff. I see it. You know what? We're going to grab you, grab your hell spawn, out of here. Mirror it, looks good. Look at it, it looks not good. Why does it not look good? Well, there's a couple of double convergences around here. So let's remove some doubles. Let's remove another chunk edge. Let's remirror it. Let's look at it. And that looks good. So, you know, Booleans, if you're Boolean, if you just Boolean and it just works and it just goes through, congratulations, you've been touched by God. But if you're cutting and you're dealing with all this stuff like I am, congratulations. That's the real world of hard ops, I mean. Just welcome to the party. Here's your dissolving knife cutter. Get to work. So we'll, you know, just cut that little piece off, make it its own little thing. Do a little box cut. Mirror that across because that'll look cool. It's all about cutting off these big things and then cutting in smaller things around it, at least for me. You know, my true intention of making these videos, besides helping people use hard ops and boxcutter and selling them, is to help those who are actually using the plugin already, you know, make better stuff. Because, you know, I get a lot of email of people just like, hey, I made this box, bro. What do you think of this box? And it's like, this isn't a this box isn't an award-winning box. You know, we need to aim higher. You know, your aim shouldn't even be to please me. Your aim should be to amaze your peers. So, you know, hopefully through all of these, I've shown y'all like the way that I work over and over in depth with the same tricks on a variety of objects, and y'all can, I mean, besides those who are pro level, you know, doing whatever they want, you know, y'all of course proceed. But for those who are, you know, learning from this tool as well, this is it right here. Cut stuff around that stuff, and then cut more stuff, or just make real world objects till you're good. You know, that's also a fun time. but a harder time, maybe less rewarding. Depends on how you render it, I guess. So right here, we did a cut, and this cut left a mark. I mean, this mesh was bleeding. Look at this. Get out of here. There's a double down here. There's something strange in the neighborhood. Who are you going to call? Master Xeon. To fix this. Fix this, fix that. You know, another question I actually get a lot in emails, my favorite question, by the way, hey, can you make hard ops work in only quads? My favorite answer, you have to work in only quads. I mean, as you see in this video, your opportunity to make quads is your choice to solve like that and solve like that, and now we have a quad there, but we gotta solve this area in order to just keep going. So I mean, if you really wanted to be a quad guy, you know, you would just solve things to be quads. But in my case, they're flats, they're you know, pretty stationary faces. Nothing's going to be deforming. Things could be moving, but they're not going to be deforming because, you know, this isn't flubber. In that case, my geometry is a little bit more sparse. Like even in my retopology, I'll tend to use triangles now because I know that I'm going to apply a level of sub D, which means if I apply a level of sub D, I'm getting all quads anyways. Don't believe me? Go apply sub D on a mesh. It'll be all quads. So I mean, that's the one-shot way. Just get your mesh good enough for subdivision, apply a level of subdivision. I mean, you won't have quads like as if you retopoed it and got it looking good, but they'll be quads. Probably won't be able to do much with it without even further cleanup, but they'll be quads. So when it matters, you can definitely work that way. But you know, in most of the workflows I showcase, I'm emphasizing on speed. You know what? This area doesn't work, and I could just lower the B width to make it work, but I want to just lower the B weight of just that one area to make it work. But this area, you know, we could ignore that. We could just turn our blind eye to this abuse, this geometric abuse. It's everywhere. You know, I feel like a social worker sometimes when I'm dealing with these meshes. You know, the problems I see Monday to Friday happening on the X, Y, and Z. You know, I could make a TV show about it. It'd be the most boring show. No one would watch it. But you know what? We're not going to let this stand. We're going to clean this city up. And in order to clean this area up, we have to clean up an area for it to live in. So this little vert will meet this vert. They'll get together, have a family, 2 kids right here. We'll slide over, and then we'll let them meet the in-laws, and voila. So this one might not be needed. Maybe it's this one. It's this one. We also don't need it. So now we can mirror that over. We can mirror it down. That area doesn't matter, but we probably want to take a note that it's going to get a little wacky there later if we start doing some serious cutting. So it's, you know, do you want to antagonize the pit bull? The answer is yes. I mean, not in real life. Please, hard ops and its operatives do not condone any outside dog fighting of humans versus dogs. But in this case, do we want to taunt the beast? And by taunt the beast, I mean more Boolean action. The answer is yes. Yes, we do. So we'll do a little bit of cleanup, just enough cleanup to really help her make it through a shift at work. And then, bam, back in the fight club. Box cutter all over the place. So we'll take this, slide it back, slide this over, stick this here. You know what I haven't done in 49 minutes, but I said I was going to do in the very first minute? Save the file. Some people never learn. You know, I almost think I deserve a crash. Please don't crash, Blender gods. You know, I pray to the bevel specifically. I mean, you know, if you're in Blender, you probably shouldn't be praying to the Z gods or the ZBrush gods, because wrong program. If anything, you're going to get some bad responses. Like, I hear sounds, I feel like rodents are haunting me. Maybe I should just be quiet. I ain't never ran from a rat, because usually I'm gone before the rat ever sees me. We'll go in boxcutter. I'll press X, and we'll go in Ngon and just slash, leave a slash. And that part is looking good so far, but right here is so empty, so blank, so nothing. So like, I might have to get a series of small animals to deal with the small animals that are haunting me as I'm recording these tutorial videos. We'll separate, come back to it, and from here in frontal mode, look at it like so, rip, and from here, you know, we're just gonna cough and delete it. Oh, what happened at a geo? I don't know. You know, and we'll just extrude this over to the front. And just slide some edges up. Really, we just need it to lay on top like a blanket. And first things first, STS sharps clear. Press number 2 to you know, push in and out like an aerobic exercise. We'll pull this out in front so it's like an overhang, and then the slash. Will it work? Will it not work? We'll know on the next episode of Boolean Ball Z. On the last episode of Boolean Ball Z, we launched a Kamehameha at this mesh, which resulted in a lot of earthly damage. In the spirit world, we must we must work in a hyperbolic time chamber to deal with this new threat. So, you know, a little bit of training with Vegeta here. Just move some stuff around. So, you compare this to the first video. I'm sure the dialogue is probably different and the same at the same time. I do kind of miss just ranting on these videos about randomness. You know, let's remove doubles. That'll clean some things up. We'll slide this over, slide that over, put a loop. All the way here, just with knife, and then cut around. We'll merge that, Alt X, symmetrize it, slide this over, and you know, this thing's pretty much clean. Like, I mean, it's almost an all quad mesh. Like, I could just zoom out, because I'm a camera still from the last video. I could just zone out, and you know, it'll just keep getting more and more cleaned up, because I was doing that for so long. Like, if you look back on my really old videos when I was talking about the Bull Tool, like in the Hello Bull Tool series, like, I was cleaning up so much at that time, and as I work, I realized that the art of cleanup is a little deeper than I thought. Like, you know, it's like, hey, just make everything quads, it'll be good. It's like, you know, really, when you're working with the bevel modifier, it's an even more unique form of cleanup than that, because you're trying to keep the geometry evenly spaced in order to get the bevel modifier to perform properly. Plus, when it comes to edges or corner convergence or areas that just switch up in any way, you have to kind of work the geo to work in advantage of what it is the result that you're going for. In my case, my result that I'm going for is a well beveled model, not even a game model. Like, these things are like render beauties. Like, I make them to look in awe at them, render a couple of pretty pictures with it, you know, maybe attach it to a robot later, give it away on Patreon as a monthly reward, and, you know, that's it. So we'll cut down the middle, just cut. How many problems will this create? How many lives will we hurt? None. None. We got away with it. We got away with it, guys. So right here, we're going to look at it from the top, and I'm going to draw a box, press C, double click, take a drink. Yeah. Alright. I know I keep saying I'm trying to not drink energy drinks before I do these tutorials, but I feel that it's part of the energy that I use in these. Like when I did Blending Away to Pain, so much coffee. But it also resulted in it, I think, coming out a bit funnier. So I hope everyone is enjoying these videos of me just modeling and talking nonsense. You know, I do take tutorials very seriously now. As in, I try to only make quality ones. Like, I don't even upload failures anymore. If it's like, if the model didn't come out successfully, that's not going to be a video. Like, if it's not something I want to show somebody, you know, because I'm proud of it, then, you know, maybe that shouldn't be a video. And we'll just push this down, which will give us a nice little tick there. So let's save it. Let's really stop playing with our lives here. Like, we're gambling so hard. Really need to stop doing that. I think after this, I'm going to do a tutorial on modeling a gun, because everybody loves guns. You know, nobody loves seeing a gun up close and personal, but people love guns. What if we did something that people would not normally want to do? Like, this piece looks good. It looks great. We've resurfaced it. We've cleaned it up. We've done so much to it. This piece is precious. And because it's precious, we got to cut it. We have to cut it, you guys. We can't just let pieces sit around, be precious, be like, this is my hero piece. This piece is so great. I'm never going to cut it, blah, blah, blah. No, we have to go in. We have to put the pain back, because it's only through pain that this mesh can truly find its true angelic form. I'll move this face out the way because let's not be suicidal here, guys. And we'll just cut. We'll pray. Please, Splendor. Please, Baffle. Please look out for this cut that I'm waiting on. And let's look at what we... Oh, my God. Alright, we might have to start praying every cut now. Because these are some... this is a pretty good cut until I look around and I see that the surface looks good, but I paid the blood price. Like, I paid the price. I lost something. I lost something that mattered. And I may not notice until the very end. But let's go find out what that is. You know, we lost a lot of trust. Like, in these edges, you know, these edges used to trust us. And now, look at them. They're scared. They're spawning little replicants. You know, we gotta clean up this stuff. You know, I know that y'all just experienced a great trauma, but we have to come through and remove members of your family. So we'll symmetrize that, and that's looking cooler. In fact, we could even scale it up. You know, that would look cool. Alright. And so I'm working real careful, because every time I do something strange things happen. It makes sense. But to me, hard ops is nothing but, you know, doing strange stuff. and then reaping the rewards, and then reaping the consequences. Usually in that order. Usually it's a big healthy dose of consequences right afterwards. And the back, I don't even care. Usually on these drones, I don't even show off the back. So, you know what? We're just going to let it go. But we are going to isolate that middle out because I'm going to use a classic trick from the last video, but I don't want that to cause an issue. So we'll S-sharpen it and then use, we'll S-sharpen and then use subdivision to make it a little bit finer. And let's C slash. Put your hands together. Everybody, let's pray to those blender gods to really work that. Oh my God. Someone wasn't praying. Who was it? Which one of you Maya atheists out there, not praying? Heresy. Heresy. So we'll just cut it, and we see that, you know, we did some, we cut deep. Like I can see inside this mesh. That's how deep we went. So let's kind of dial it back a little bit. You know, maybe the mesh has a point. Hey, I can't be cut that way. Even if you want to cut me that way, I can't be cut that way. I mean, technically, we could, but I don't want to start talking about the art of interior geometric cleanup. You know, if you're watching this video, that could be your homework or something. But, you know, for today, we'll keep it fairly advanced, but not too advanced. You know, I'd hate for y'all to walk out of here with PhDs. So, right here, we're going to C slash. A quick prayer. Oh, God. You know what? We'll probably have to use the other thing where we duplicate it. Right click to cancel. We'll go in here, choose intersect. Alright, so I will be looking into that, but maybe Rebull still has a use because this is a fail case in which repeatedly we see that Rebull might have been an old classic, you know, in this situation. Now right here I actually used X-mirror to bisect it, which automatically always selects the edge in the center. I will mark it as sharp, and then we're just going to turn off merge and put this up above, and now we have something looking pretty good. So we'll save it because saving will save us. Alright, and we'll let that render. And it looks pretty good. You know, I see some smudges, but I think that's because my monitor is dirty and maybe the rat has been playing tricks on me. I also see in the front there's a little bit of faceting here. I'm debating on whether we should just leave that or actually do something about it. I think in this case we'll, you know what? Let's do something about it. Oh. You know, doing something about it might get a little tough. But, you know, by the power of Grayskull, let's see what we can do. You know, and that worked. That worked, but in the back, they're like, we saw what you did. Like, we know what you did, and I synced it, what you did. I saw what you did to that geo. I'm telling. So, let's just dissolve that. S-sharp. Dissolve some stuff. Just get that out of here. We'll X-mirror it. So, if you look at the bottom, this is what it looks like faceted. And this is what it looks like kind of upgraded. So, I don't use subdivision on my models because subdivision will turn every edge into, turn every face into 4 faces and so on, which I feel is just inherently inefficient. But alright, sorry, I zoned out in an email. Focus on the tutorial. So we're continuing on. And, from the side here, we need some stuff. I demand, because at this point, no more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I demand this. Alright, sorry about that. I got somewhat let me put my words together again. Got somewhat sidetracked for just a moment. Always have to respond to emails. Try to always respond to emails. My apologies to anyone whose emails I didn't respond to, unless you were requesting something from me in which I didn't respond. In that case, it's probably because I didn't want to do it, or I was busy, or I was tied up, or the model you sent me was insufficient. So continuing on. Now we are really approaching that final phase where things are going to go a little faster, and we're going to start to gamble a little bit, because as long as we do these humongous, big, sweeping, form altering cuts, we're going to keep having to clean up. But at the very end, whenever you're like just doing itty bitty tiny cuts, just cuts in between the cuts, cuts in the lines, just little cuts that's just taking advantage of an edge being in the right place at the right time, like, congratulations, Edge, you've just become a very serious monument in your area type thing. And we'll do another cut here. And let's see what we got here. 9% chance that we will get a clean, nice cut. And nope. Clean up time. But now I'm going to start cleaning up at my normal speed, because I've been kind of just chilling. And for this one, I'm actually going to do a double clean. I'm going to clean the piece, and then I'm going to clean the piece that's right next to it, just to make it connect. Alright, and this is clean. And sorry about the silence there. I was thinking about rats and squirrels, and there's a way to turn them against each other. When I'm modeling, my mind's unhinged. I just drift in thought. I mean, I could just think about edges and stuff, but I've already done that for so long. Like, sometimes I'll be just chilling, and I'll be thinking about geometric solutions, and suddenly I'll be like, yeah, I kind of wish I could just get on the computer and try this out. It's like, yeah, I don't think I want to get on Blender and try creating some Boolean prompts just to try out an idea for solving. Makes me realize that boxcutter needs to be on mobile. Right here, we're just going to take this piece, push it up, because we don't have a lot inside. Actually, what the heck is in here? I see. Let's get rid of what's not relevant. Oh, why is that relevant? This one, dissolve. No. Merge? Yes. Merge? Yes. Lower the bevel width, because that's just easier. We will promote these to sharpening. We'll put an edge here. Just connect that just because it looks like it really needs it. And we'll come out, look at it, and this is what we have. So far, so good. Everything is looking pretty good. And we're wanting to take it a ways, not all the way, because we have another tool that I want to use on this as well. Now, the thing about Decal Machine is, you could definitely take Decal Machine to start using them all over a floor. It'd be an epic floor, like 10 minutes. Only limitation is your own design skill. But I find that when you make a nice model and then you start slapping decals on it, it's just a whole nother dimension. This edge, speaking of a whole nother dimension, send that edge to a whole nother dimension. Alright, so back to work. We'll take that. Voila. So we look at it. All right, so we've gone through, we've done a lot, I'd say geometrically we drained the swamp. Oh snap, look at all these crosses and spinals. I was gonna say we drained the swamp. We did not drain the swamp, but it's close enough. And by close enough, I mean, nothing's going to stand out at the render time. I mean, this is all shaded gray, totally unflattering. The materials will issue a degree of flattery, and then Decal Machine, the ultimate in mesh flattery technology. I must say, when it first came out, when I first saw it, I was just like, damn. I wish I could have bought the idea. Alright. And, maybe a little something right here. In fact, let's do the old cylinder. The old cylinder, guys. Like last time, this is a shape I really like to make. All the time. Just extrude it down. So, if we go here and we clean mesh, looks perfect. And we'll just cut that in, like so. So here we have a curve and a curve. So it's going to be a double cut curve, and it's not going to be pretty. If you're a woman or a child, put your hands over your eyes. Let's see what we got here. Oh, never mind. You can uncover your eyes, women and children. Looks like the results we got here are not that bad. A little bit of cleanup, a little bit more cleanup, and a couple of pushes, you know. Damn it, I'm forgetting all these anime terms that I used to just use in examples. I'll just get back focused. And from here, we'll go at Mesh Tool, Symmetry, Z. And we'll align with View. And just put this here. And really, that's not good enough. You know, just some cylinders, really. Come on. Cylinders. You're just going to put cylinders there. For now, we'll just have some cylinders. We're going to detail the hell out of this thing. Detail it fiercely. So with that, we save the file. And let's begin with the detailing phase. So in the queue options, we have these inserts. People write me all the time. They're like, hey, my inserts are crashing. The inserts aren't working. Look, let me let you in on a secret. I haven't touched these inserts since we added them in HardOps in version 007. I haven't added to them. I haven't changed it. I plan on adding to them. But everybody's experiencing weird issues. And some people are like, I don't use inserts. So who knows? Maybe I'll add some new inserts down the road. But with these inserts, they kind of behave variably depending on which version of Blender you're using. If you're using it on Mac or PC, just all sorts of just really weird stuff. So, you know, as always, you got to roll with the punches. You got to roll with the punches, and you know, sometimes the inserts are working, sometimes they aren't. If you're not in the troubleshooting mood, if you experience a crash, I would recommend just not using them for a moment, or at least for that version, and then more than likely they'll be fixed in the next update. The error access violation error that comes up in Blender randomly is it's a strange error. Like, it's happened to me a couple of times and then it just went away and never happened again. But just for those who are experiencing it with adjustable inserts, that is your public announcement. So I'm going to replace these placeholder materials with some regular materials, because these placeholders are literally just there because I just needed material indexes. If I would have been importing just gray material, just gray objects with nothing, like, it would be a disaster. I would have to go and do material indexes every time I brought in some stuff. So let's see if we can capture everything in this group. I'll just press Shift G, choose group, and then we're just going to isolate it. Shift click this, Control L, merge all the materials to give everything the same materials. And let's see what we got here. Oh, heck. Somehow we went down the wrong road. Let's try that again. This object's all correct. We will make sure they all share the material of that object. But the lid looks like, I mean, not the lid, the lens looks like there's nothing in it. So we'll deal with that as this goes on. But let's continue. I keep bringing up Decal Machine. Decal Machine is next phase. So I got to keep that in mind. GY will hold control just so it snaps precisely on the front. And right here we'll Q C merge. C merge will merge it, but in this case, let's actually undo C merge. And let's see what this geometry looks like. Oh, horrible truths. I remember us pressing our luck here. So and we'll see merge and no response. Why is there no response? Let's just control minus the BB portion. Okay, so more than likely it's working, but we need to also look at this piece. Is there stuff in the center of this piece? No. Is there stuff in the middle of this piece? No. So let's Alt-H, move all that stuff to another layer so that way we can hide new secrets. And it's this one. Will it work? Will it work? We won't know until we hit the C. And then Alt-H. So now we have everything. So everything's fine. Hopefully we don't get any more strange, unexpected technical issues. Those are the only issues I hate, are the ones that aren't even planned for. But those are most issues. So obligatory, must always brand with the logo. I mean, for me. For the other users, you know, the inserts are there. Definitely use them around for branding. Don't use them if you're not proud of it. But the HOPS box cutter logos, you know, they're like a seal of approval. At least to me, like the funnest part of this whole plugin business has been to brand everything and discover branding. And so HOPS on the left, box cutter on the right. We don't have to merge anything because it's not needed. Alright, delete that. We'll link those materials. So as I insert these, I'll be linking all their materials in order to just make the process a lot easier. Another thing I haven't done yet is box cut material slice. So there's definitely a couple of things that we probably want to go back and spend a little time with. There's an object behind this object that's just not going to work out. So we could fix this a couple of ways. We could use a cylinder. We can use what you're about to see now, which is just me putting a circle, putting a couple of X's so I can use vert to circle. We'll mark it sharp so that way I can extrude it in. Actually, from the way it looks, we're just going to need to go hard on it. So snap cursor, cylinder, look at me. I'm the captain now. So we'll dig in there. We will dig in there. You know, not the best choices, but these inserts, you have to make them work out. You can't just have an insert just looking silly. So, you know, in the most part, the cleanup is easy. In fact, we want to delete this whole half of this because, you know, it's separate anyway, so might as well mirror that. Bringing up the machine menu again because it's my favorite step now. Merge. And we will first give it the same materials as this. symmetry, C. And, you know, these physical ones aren't even necessary, like for these inserts, as you'll see in time. But they're classic. And because of that, you know, yeah, they have a place. Just some of them classic inserts. You know what? We're going to just mess up this idea that we had here. But I do want to use reset axis to reset it on the X just to make sure it's perfectly symmetrical, which is why the reset axis is there. Because there was a time when I was like always going in the end panel to flatten things on the axis to move it. And now we can actually just do it like so. So we'll mirror this down below. Materials. And if we render it out, just real quick, just what we got, you can see that it's coming together. So you know, another thing I probably should have done actually was shade the model before we get started. So I'm just going to hide the inserts I've put in here so far. I could probably just select the whole group using batch operations, but I don't want to go out of a control up arrow. I mean out of Alt F11 mode. So we're going to select everything, and we're going to assign it the shader of gray. And this may not be the best choice because it's going to be way shiny, but it's better than it looking like dull sand, which is kind of the default multi-shader configuration that I have. And we render this out. It's a beaut. It's a beaut. This thing looks like an eyeball of one of my robots. So now let's just select some pieces and give it some shade. So this will receive what I call the accent. CPST is what I use as the accent in models. It's basically like, while it's orange in the viewport, it's like a wild card color, because at render it could be black, it could just be some crazy series of colors. It's just one of the phases I do on you know, these little hard surf quickies. You know, we'll give this, give it chrome. This piece, chrome. This piece, probably Kevlar. This piece, all Kevlar. This piece, guess what? Kevlar. You know, on the streets they call me Kevin Kevlar, because of how much Kevlar I'd be assigning. So we rendered out now just with basic shading, and this is what we have. We're on render set 1, so it's going to render pretty nice render if I just stop moving. But the red is too red. You know, back in the day, someone used to grab me by the shoulder and be like, "Hey, bro, too much red. You got to calm down, or you're going to get attacked by some bulls." So we'll give this a moment to render, and then we'll continue. Alright, we're back. So the render's looking pretty good. Needs more hints of red, just real small hints of red. So before I do the final attack, you know, the final Getsu Tensho, we're going to do a little more box cutting, but this time we're going to use material cutter with plastic. If you guys know me, you know I love material cutter. One of the best things ever added to hard ops / box cutter. I mean, if box cutter's only purpose was material cutting, that would be fine with me. Because the speed that it affords you as far as keystroke saving and just this step in general is like zen. Like I could kind of just stay at this step, except the more I stay on this step, the longer it takes to do these things, and thus the more chances of it having a hapless crash. So you know what, we're going to Z this on the mirror. We're going to Z this up negatively, which is a little different than the way I usually work. We will come here. And now we can come up here and we see that the edges that we've given this are just not good enough. And I mean, who can blame them? Wait, symmetrize, not reset axis. Because we use the same icons, I received one email from someone who was confused on that, and my response was, of course, read the option that you're using. If you're watching this video, I hope that didn't sound rude. I was only giving you the answer. But it is kind of strange that the icons share the same ones. Maybe we'll check into that in the future. But that is an important note to keep in mind, is that they do look a bit alike. And so these little ticks, these ticks are money. Like, as in, sometimes when I show people these renders, their eyes turn into dollar signs because they love it. So right here, we're going to cut. And right here, guess what? Cut. Now, this step, I don't normally go through asking the polygons for forgiveness. So you don't see me going in edit mode, like cleaning things up from these little cuts, because they're just little cuts. You know, let it go. Be cool, bro. Like, these are just itty bitty cuts. Like, you know, I've done a lot for you today on this mesh, guys. So just let me, you know, slip a few cuts in here, just slivers and sections. You know, well, you don't have to tell anybody that it was even me that, you know, cut that little piece off of you and turned it red. So you can see a little bit of garbage existing everywhere I cut that probably needs to be cleaned up. But because the bevel distance is going to be so small, I'll probably get away with it. Until I don't get away with it. I might get busted. I might have a bunch of geos just looking really rubbish in the render. And then, you know, guess what? I didn't get away with it. So we'll cut here. And we'll mirror it onto Z. And we'll also take a look right here. And just do a quick cut just to get us some rim. But we see that this could use a little bit of a cleanup. That edge has to go. This edge right here has to go. Like, when some edges are just too close to the truth, they have to go. Like FBI Director Comey. Like, you were too close to the truth. You were too close to the truth. You know, I'm following up words like our president. Alright, so we will mark this sharp. We will mark this sharp. Mesh tools, symmetry option Z. We'll just shift R, repeat. Sometimes I forget to do that on these tools to make sure that they have shift R, repeat capabilities. We'll just cut here. And we're an hour and a half into this video, so you're approaching silver medal territory if you've been watching this video in its entirety from the beginning. Most of these videos, I'm hoping that you're watching, taking breaks, you know, looking at yourself in the mirror, asking yourself, what are you doing with your life? You know, praying to the bevel gods, of course, facing the direction of Z, you know, towards the Blender Institute. For this, we will symmetrize onto Z. We'll take this little red slice and just put it here. And so now we have a pretty good sphere. Like, this is a sphere that I like now, you know. Like, sometimes I talk about models in posts. I'm like, you know, I really hated this model until this. This model, I hated it until that. That right there, the cuts of red. Yeah, this thing's the bomb now. Sorry to be tooting my horn in my own tutorial. Let's go ahead and proceed. This thing sucks. It's horrible. Let's just get on with it. So first thing, I'm going to use Group Pro. I mean, not Group Pro. I'm going to use Decal Machine. One of my favorite decals is these dots. You know, a lot of these decals also are based off of like some of the ideas in hard ops that were based off of ideas I was just looking up on Google. But these dots, that would be so hard to model. I'm not going to lie. Like if someone was like, hey, you got to model that in there, be like, yeah, you know, let's maybe come up with a different design choice. So I'll mirror it on the Z. And these decals being added will completely change the destiny of these shapes that we're looking at here. So let's just look at it just real quick. And we're just getting started. So, you know, we may use the enigmatic decal slice that can sometimes be a bit of a gamble. But my favorite is decal project, because you just project it and you're done. You know, and I jump into render mode occasionally just to check out how it's all going. You know, I could be working in material mode, but I found that on my computer it's a little slow. So me being the person I am, you know, connected to the Speed Force, I definitely prefer speed over all else. So we're going to put this one aside because I'm going to definitely reuse this one. This one's my favorite insert. And by saying it's my favorite, I mean I call shoddy on it. So, you know, guys, don't use my insert, okay? Because, you know, this one's my favorite here. And then if you guys start using it, it won't be cool no more, you know. So, you know, really when it comes to these decals, it's imperative that you use them tastefully. Because if they're too big, if your whole model is dependent upon the fact that you have these decals, like that's what makes your model, you're messing up. Like, just take it a little bit of the ways through it, model it up, and then let decal take you wherever it's trying to go. So right here, I'm just going to adjust the height because operative AR now made that modal, meaning that instead of pressing it over and over and over like I may have been doing in a previous video, I now only have to press it once. Just fantastic. Alright, we'll put one there, and why not? We'll put one there. So if we render that out, it's going to look very serious. We're just going to put this one here and mirror it across and just call it a day on that. So looking good. Could use a little bit of text. You know what's perfect to go on a spherical drone? A picture of a cube. You guessed it. I love this insert. Paul Lisowski created a decal set that I believe is where this one's coming from. So by all means, definitely go pick it up on Gumroad, especially if you're using Substance Painter. He's a great artist, designer, cool guy. I talked to him a couple of times. Like, think we're friends. He probably does think we're friends. You know, this did not work out. Let's get rid of that. And then origin to geometry. We'll put it there. And let's add another logo. This time we'll go in classic machine business. Push and retract is one of my favorites. And then we'll put a repeal the First Amendment one on the other side. Let's see how it looks in the render. So on this one, we want to go with one of these cool decals because these things are great. Looking at the decals that are provided with Decal Machine is also a good way to get familiar with the rules of decal making, because there are definitely some rules when it comes to making them where you can't create things that protrude out too far because they'll look nonsensical. And you know, on the side here, I actually want to put a little stuff, a little something, you know, because the sides are so big but so quiet. So we'll put this plane here, and I'm just going to take a gamble. First, let's save it. Take a gamble, decal slice. Didn't work. Who would have thought? Let's give it another try. Decal knife. Did not work. Who would have thought? How do we get around this? Well, the shape is a sphere, and I'm just going to scale it down. And you're probably wondering, what are you doing with that? Well, let's decal knife. Let's, wrong button. Let's adjust the panel width. But in order to do that, we have to do a little bit of handiwork here. And so while that works, and while I say that works, that actually did not work. Sometimes I do this just to get panel lines started on models where it's just a little painful. But you know, let's actually play with some panel lines. Let's make it work. So right now everything's sideways, and you know, I keep telling the creator that we need a rotate UVs 90 degrees because guess what? Game over. I had to go out of full screen. I had to go in the UV image editor, select everything, rotate it 90 degrees. Failure. I lost the game just now. The game that doesn't matter, that only I play because I'm a crazy person. So we'll just push this up a little bit and, you know, just do a cut. So that cut's done. And let's cut here. So this will look this will look kind of crazy, but it will work. So let's see what we got. And so basically all we did was put this fake cut line on the side, but the cut line just doesn't look as good in this context, so I'm just going to remove it because we can do better. We're trying to make a nice model here, and you know, decal slice and the decal knife is still a work in progress, very much. But I definitely expect that they'll be getting better in the future. I mean, I'm actively thinking of solutions around the clock to try to create the best version of this tool that could exist. Because, I mean, if you could just draw lines and just make them panels, game over. Game over. Millions of people would migrate to Blender like a refugee crisis. So for this area, we're going to take this interesting little piece of decal. And we're going to press D, decal project. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. This part won't work. Alright. And if we mirror that across, mirror it down, and let's see what we have here. So we have a nice little cut inside of this rounded ring. So I can tell you that if we had to do that via Booleans, just painful. You know, this plugin has changed me. into something else, someone else. You know, I used to do all this stuff real, you know, last version. But the fact that you can now superimpose it to an extent just has completely changed the game. And we'll raise the height here. Just put a simple bolt in the middle here. You know, we're just going to go with this thing. And we'll just slap it here. We'll look at it in normal mode, see what we have. Guess what? Game over. Render it. How's it going to look? It's going to look great when you put it in perspective. But we do want to make the ring up here a little more interesting, so I'll show you a cool trick I like to do with this one. This one is like a bar. You know, I'll put a couple of loop cuts in it, and then I can actually space it around. But another thing we can do to it is like something like twist 360. You know, maybe we want to rotate it and put like 2 loop cuts in each junction. And we'll look at it from this side. How important is accuracy? Not very. We'll increase the segments to like 16. 16's a special number. And we'll go from 16 to 24 because 16 wasn't a special enough number. We could have made it work with 16, but really it's just easier just to give it the right number. So we'll push it out just slightly. We just want to keep it offset on the surface. But if we render, guess what? Bars. And, you know, someone was already talking about using this idea to make a pattern of stitches. And seeing it like that kind of brings that point to life. So let's actually lower this to 4. And let's push these out. Voila. So now we are all good. And guess what? It's done. That looks awesome now. Previous way it looked like stitches, which is not going to work for this shape. Alright, so we have that mirror to the other side. We're going to grab an X because X marks the spot. X is going to mark this spot. Decal project. Mirror to the other side. Let's look at it in rendered mode. Prepare to open your mouths and drop your jaws in awe. It's an X. So I could go through and actually this part unacceptable. We shall clean that up, slide the stuff out the way. Actually, this thing is being mirrored, so we shouldn't have to press Alt X to mirror. But I guess in our case we do because we actually Alt X and it remirrored it. So we'll come back to that if it's even relevant. You know, we'll just keep moving forward here. So at the top, we need our obligatory machine-made sticker because while I am not machine, I am the machine. Like, you know, on the streets they call me Mr. Decal Machine. I'm like, please stop calling me that. So let's see what we got here. Looking good. And so we could keep going. We could keep going and just keep going and keep going. but we are approaching 2 hours. So the limit is making a 2-hour video, and then after that we will wrap up. So my apologies for everyone who's keeping up past their bedtime, or if you don't sleep, you're fine. So there's another one I like that has a bunch of here we go. I'm trying to figure out the correct word to use for this. It's some foreign text. In fact, might need to do a whole bunch of foreign text to add to this thing. In fact, we'll just put it here. And then we'll take another decal and put it here. I just like these particular labels. Then on top of that, we can do a little more work here on the side, because we were quite lazy with the way that we handled things. We could have really cleaned up town like Steven Seagal in Lethal Weapon. Got all these terrorists off the boat. Decal project. Mirror. So we'll take this piece. This piece I think was one that I made that might have been modified a little bit to make it less horrible by machine. Really cool. I'm telling you, every time he touches any of my work, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant to do. Totally. In fact, that's such an interesting decal, I'm going to use it twice. You know what would look crazy is if we put this decal right there. Generations in the future will look at this decal and be like, what? Ta-da. So let's see what we have. Now I must add that in addition to the stuff that you see me showcasing with Decal Machine, there is even more under the surface. Like, for example, I'll show you one that I really should kick myself for not using enough. We'll just take a cube, material cut, down. Material cut used to not do that. Let's try it again. Material decal, I mean. So right here, this material is now just a secondary material on the surface. So if I wanted to assign this, like, got all these extra shaders being created because of me pasting so much. Like, say, rough plastic. Like, this area is now rough plastic. You just have to experiment with this because it's just amazing. And I just don't use it enough. Like, I'm showing this tool in relation to hard ops, but I can assure you I'm definitely not doing it the justice it deserves. That justice is up to you to find, you the viewers. So, we render this out. Looks alright. You know what looks not alright? This. We'll get rid of that. And, to really show this area that we're sorry for what we did there, we're going to put a couple of these down, little chiclets with Decal Project. Every time I press Q, it just goes to show how badly I need to put that in the Q menu. And we really didn't touch the back for this. I mean, if we wanted to, we could go under here, under inserts, find a insert for the back, put it here, we'll snap it, and I'll press Q, merge, and you see it took the chrome from the chrome cutting. And for this piece on the side here, you know, I could just take my cube from the previous cube in this tutorial series, so we may just do that real quick. So right here, I have this object. As y'all remember, I group pro'd everything together, and group pro really comes in handy for these situations. I'm just going to go here, go to layer under 2, so it's not layer 2, it's layer under it, so basically layer 12. So I pressed Alt and 2. You see that whenever you do this, it'll paste in your group pro asset, but it'll also put in your regular asset. So I'm just going to delete the group pro version, make sure it renders out good, and just press Control X, regroup it, and you know, Control X, group origin 3D cursor, of course, and we'll just move this to layer 1. And now that's a thing. So just to throw in a little bit of group pro before I use a whole lot of group pro, I just wanted to just show you how copy and pasting is, because I use it a lot. I mean, if you're Boolean cubes and all that stuff, then, you know, at some point maybe try putting them together in a whole scene and rendering them all out, or something, you know, something grandiose. But copy and pasting will definitely make it a lot easier for you as well. So we'll just duplicate that. It's of course mirrored to the other side. If we wanted to, we could also put some here. And the cool thing is, like, we can do stuff like this and then Decal Machine a little bit of extra around it. You know, it'll just make the area kind of work out. Just the decals themselves. Decal project, Alt X. We shall mirror this on the Z as well. And then D, we shall go here and take this little classic, put one there. Alright, and maybe one here. So I mean, even with inserts, I use a little bit of Decal Machine just to get some interesting results. Like, there really is no limit to what you could be doing with this tool. We'll decal project here, and that'll do, Jim. That'll do. I mean, the back we just left alone, and now at the end I just slapped some stuff on it. Done. I mean, not done, but pretty done. I mean, we're at 1:57, so we're running out of time here. So let's real quickly unhide, remove any garbage, select everything except this light and this camera and that light. We'll Control X, create selection, Shift C, group origin 3D cursor. We'll edit the group because this object has to go again. This time it's going all the way out. Alright, and so here we're looking at the front. It's important to keep in mind that if you're using Decal Machine, you're not going to be able to look at these in orthographic and get a good view. That's just life. Also, what are you rendering in orthographic for? And before you put in excuses, stop rendering in orthographic. It's just not going to work with Decal Machine. So I'm just going to set up a quick render, and then we'll just let this thing leave out rendering. So Pro Lighting Studio by Andrew Price, I'm a big fan of it. I feel that it's a fantastic idea. However, I don't think there's going to be any updates coming to this thing down the road. Like, I mean, it's just such a great idea, and it's just done now. You know, I'm just sad about it because that's just how it is. We'll just give it an image overlay. You know, I like this floor especially. We'll change the scale though. And now finally we can go to the lighting, enable a lighting setup, delete all the other lights using their little notification And let's just find a look that will work. In fact, we're not going to find it in a character. We're going to find it in object. First object, done. Done. Like that's the drone I was looking for. I promise you guys. I was looking for it. And now I found it. So now comes the part of every modeling process where I roll back my chair, I stand up, and I walk around the room, and I'm like, does this work? Does this work? Is this the model I'm looking for? Or do I need to really pull out Thor's hammer and get back to work with the chisel on this thing? Start putting the physical damage on it, cleaning it up? Or do I need to just get real fake with it, put a little decal machine on it, just a little hint of an idea of what could be there if I was in the Boolean mood. So now we're at 2 hours and 1 minute. So with that, I'd definitely like to thank everyone for watching this video and listening to me rant for hours about hard ops and how to use it. And I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you're a customer and you have any questions, you can, of course, email me at masterzl1001@gmail.com. Don't email me just random Blender questions, please. Just put that in the comments so that I can ignore it, or someone else can answer it. And that's it. Thank you for watching this video, and continue watching hard ops tutorials. This render looks great, but you know what doesn't look great is the blue with the hints of red. So I mean, I was kind of staring at that after the video ended, and let's just fix that real quick. Also, you know, in these scenes, I like to get rid of orphan data, so I'm going to bring up the outliner, and all this is garbage data. So we're going to just remove this until there's nothing there. You know, even these materials that I don't need except in certain demonstration situations is fine. This, we are going to change it to red because red is pretty cool. And no one's around to grab me and choke me to the ground because I'm using red. So, red, baby. And with that, this tutorial is complete. Just wanted to come back, put a little bit of red. Thank you for watching.